Hey, what's up? This is my 1970 Datsun 521 pickup. I've had this thing for about 8 years, and it's my daily driver. I spent a lot of time and money on this thing, which is typical for any kind of Datsun. Some of the things I've done to it is I've got an L20 in it, Fitech Fuel Injection, 5-speed transmission, Z lower control arms in the front, along with a disc brake conversion, speed hut gauges. I've gone all through the electrical system on this thing. Let me show the interior on it. It's pretty much mostly stock. It's got the bench seat in it still. Upholstery is out of like a early 70s Chevy Blazer, and I just liked it because of the color and the pattern on the upholstery. There you can see the speed hut gauges there. Modified the gauge bezel to get those things to fit in there nicely like that, and it's pretty great having a set of gauges for everything in the truck and not having to have a bunch of crap all over the steering column and the bottom of the dashboard and stuff. But yeah, that's the inside of the truck. Pop the hood for you so you can take a look at the engine. So yeah, there you go, typical L20. There you can see the Fitech in there. I've had it on the truck for about 4 months now, and it's awesome. Totally vastly improved the drivability of it. Cold starts are super easy, drives around immediately after starting. No more vapor locking, no more percolation with the fuel pump. Heat soaking is not an issue whatsoever, and it's an awesome setup and pretty easy to install. I'll go over some of the parts that I used on this installation, but huge improvement over the twin SUs that I had on this thing. So the L20, the block was pretty beat up when I got it, so this thing's bored 30 over. And then it was also decked 9 thousandths. So with the peanut head that's on it and the stock pistons, I'm pretty close to 10-1 on it. I have to run high test fuel just to keep the pinging out of it. I tried it on cheap gas and it pings when it gets warm. So I got to run high octane in it, which isn't a huge deal. This thing with the Fitech gets pretty darn good mileage. I haven't actually recorded it yet, but I could tell it goes farther on a tank than it did with the SUs. Another part that I had to put on this thing to run the Fitech is this water, like the coolant thermostat. It's hard to get. I'm trying to get in there to get it, but it's a really ugly freaking thing that's in there. But you need it in order to get coolant temperature and still have a bung for gauges in the truck. So other than that, it was a pretty darn easy installation. Something else I've done on it is it's got an alternator from I think it's like an early 90s Maxima. That in conjunction with a pulley from I think it's a hard body, early 90s hard body. It basically gives you a 90 amp internally regulated alternator that's practically a bolt-on. I had to screw with the mount a little bit to back the alternator up, towards the back of the motor a little bit, just to help align the belts, but pretty easy. So yeah, along with the disc brake conversion, I've got a Z master cylinder in there. Had to make some new brake lines. I've got a JEGS proportioning valve in there that lets me adjust the braking in this thing, and pretty much set it and forget it. It's pretty easy, no big deal. So yeah, that's the engine. Lights are Dapper Lights kits, along with the relay kit, so when I drive around at night I could actually see, unlike when I had the original lights in it, it's completely blind. So yeah, with the disc brake kit in it, I'm able to run the stock steel wheels, so that's pretty awesome. It has disc brakes off of a I think it's like a 80s, like a early 80s 720, and that was an adapter kit made by Mike Klotz. Same with the Z lower control arms in the front. He was making those control arms for a little while. I don't know if he is anymore. But anyway, it's got the Z lower control arms on it. And then it's also indexed 2 notches. So this thing sits pretty low static, but still has plenty of suspension travel, even with stock shocks that I'm running on it. The back is a set of leaf springs from I think it's an 84 Nissan hardbody. I pulled 1 leaf from the pack on the 521, added into the pack for the 720, and then installed them with 4-inch drop blocks, and gives it a pretty good stiff ride. I've got some air jacker air shocks on it, so this thing actually I still use this thing as a truck. It carries, I think the most I've had it is about 1,200 pounds, and with the air shocks aired up, it'll actually make this thing sit level, and the truck has no problem pulling that weight. I mean, it doesn't love it, but it does it. So made a roof rack. These came out of Sydney, Australia. It's the only place I could really find a set of these gutter mount racks, and I just sort of slapped it together out of pine board just for a proof of concept and just to see what it looks like. And I kind of like it. I thought it sat a little high at first, but I've either gotten used to it or it's grown on me. Whatever. Let's see what else. So this thing's got a 5-speed transmission out of that same 84 720 truck, and it's awesome. It's really great. It's a lot stronger than the dog leg that was in this thing that died a horrible slow death. So I'm actually able to get up on the freeway and cruise pretty nicely. I pulled the third member out of a 510 wagon, so I think it's got 380 gears in it. I don't remember exactly what it had, but a lot better than what the truck originally had in it. Swapped out the spider gears on either side of the third member so I can keep my 6 lug axles. And so yeah, with the 5-speed and the rear end, I cruise at 70 miles an hour easily, maybe just a little over 3,000 RPM. Eventually I'd like to get the rear end of a roadster, because I think those have a better gearing in them, and that'll just give me a little bit lower RPM on the freeway, which would be pretty nice, but not absolutely mandatory. So yeah, that's my 521 truck. So I guess a lot of guys had some questions about running Fitech on a L series 4-cylinder. I'm just sort of figuring this out as I go. I've got a Fitech on my El Camino, and it's fucking awesome. And I'm kind of sick and tired of having to deal with the twin SUs on my Datsun. Not that they're terrible, but I'm just kind of tired of dealing with them. It's a daily driver, and I'm constantly having to screw with them just to get them tuned out right. So basically, the combination that I'm running to get this done is Canon Weber intake, and it's a pretty nice piece. I found it on Amazon of all places. It was, I don't know, $250, something like that. The reason why I didn't want to run a stock style manifold was because I couldn't find an adapter that would go from whatever the Datsun Hitachi bullshit to a Holley 2100 base. So they did make adapters that take you from a Weber to a Holley 2100. So that's what this piece of metal is right here. And I want to do that. That way, when you put the Fitech on it, I'm not running multiple stacked adapters and having this thing sitting way up high on the intake manifold. I was kind of worried about hood clearance. That's a pretty tight fit. It's hard to get down on there sometimes. So basically that goes on there right just like that. The manifold is pretty nice when I got it. I had to port match the gaskets, or I had to port match to the gasket here. Those were a little small. I also had to grind the carb flange just to get that to fit perfect. So anyway, that's how you can actually get it mounted onto the engine. For the fuel pump, because the Fitechs need 58 PSI at the throttle body, I'm using a Hyperfuel part number 400015, and basically what this is you drill a hole, use a hole saw in your fuel tank, and using that red piece there as your guide for screwing all the holes and stuff into it, and you mount that guy on your tank. You got pump, a return, and a vent. And it's pretty easy. Installs in. Here's a pump here, 225 liters per hour, more than enough for a Datsun L20. And you got a fuel sock on there. It's a pretty decent kit. I run something very similar to it in my El Camino. Once I got it figured out, it works awesome. The other piece of the puzzle is the Fitech needs to know coolant temperature. Well, I've only got one port in my engine for my gauge, so I needed more coolant ports. So I found this guy. I think it's off of like a 80-something 280ZX with the L series, obviously. It's pretty freaking ugly, but it's going to give me 2 coolant ports. That'll get capped, and then I'll still have my bypass. It's a pretty ugly thing, but it's going to get the job done. So that's another piece of the puzzle that you got to get. And then when it comes to the fuel system, this is also a kit from CPP. I don't know, I think it was like $195, something like that. Basically, it comes with everything you need to install fuel injection in a car. Now I'm going to run returnless. I know a lot of people are like, oh, don't run returnless, it gets hot. Well, I do the same thing in my El Camino, and it fucking works great. So I'm going to run returnless. It uses less hose, less chance for leaks. Anyway, so with this kit, you get, I think it's 25 feet of hose, and then inside the middle of this, you can see a little bag there. It's a bunch of 6AN push lock fittings. I got a few extra little bits and pieces just to route it the way I want. The way that I'm going to run returnless is with, I think it's like a 2002 Corvette C5 style filter regulator. So this filters and regulates back to the tank. So you basically got pump in, this is your return out, and then this end right here goes up to the Fitech at 58 PSI. So my return line is only about a foot long. I mount it right next to my gas tank. Let's see, other bits and pieces that I needed to get. Needed a throttle cable and some brackets and bullshit like that, miscellaneous bits and pieces and stuff. So yeah, everything all together, I don't know, it's probably about $1,400. But basically what it's going to do is it's going to give me computer controlled fuel injection. It'll give me timing control with I just have to lock out this little Matchbox Tizzy that I have. So yeah, hopefully I get it installed pretty quick. I'm kind of tired of dealing with the carburetors, and the truck's sort of running like shit right now. So yeah, I'll just keep you guys posted on how it goes. So let me give you guys a little startup on this thing so you guys could hear what it sounds like with the fuel injection. I've already driven it around a little bit today, so it's not a total cold start, but it just gives you an idea. So yeah, I'm not even going to get it in the truck. I don't have to choke it, no gas, nothing. Just turn the key on, let the fuel pump cycle, and then so it starts, revs up a little bit. I need to adjust that just so it doesn't rev so high, but it's not a huge deal. And then that's it. It just sits there and idles. So I don't know what the engine temperature is. It's a little bit cold, so it's on a slightly higher idle. Yeah, it's a little, probably about 900 something. But yeah, once the temperature goes up, this thing idles down to around 800, and it just sits there steady all day long. And that's it. It's awesome. You just fire it up and it idles easily. No surging, no funny stuff. So yeah. All right, well, let's head out and grab a burrito real quick and take this thing for a spin.